Hi, everyone. Welcome to Youth Bombs. I'm Craig,
I'm Olivia.
I'm David.
and we're the voice of young conservatives in Alachua County. In case you hadn't heard, second assassination attempt on President Donald J. Trump this Sunday. Fortunately, not injured. The Secret Service have the individual in custody and is being interrogated. As young adults, how do you both feel about this? Is this like our generation's JFK moment, or do you feel differently?
I don't know, it's really hard to tell because I feel like in our generation, so much has happened. You know what I mean? Like, people said that about the COVID lockdown, how that was going to be like our, like, monumental, like, social thing, like how, like, Vietnam was for, like, maybe, like, some of our parents, But there's been, like, a series of these things where I feel like we've become really desensitized to it. That's, like, we're not reacting. Like, when JFK got shot, I can imagine that was like the big thing that everyone talked about and was really affected by. But now it's like, the second assassination attempt, it's like people are very desensitized about it. So it's kind of hard to tell.
I would actually say that our JFK moment was back in July 13. I think we all remember how it was when we heard Trump got shot. The videos and the photos that we saw showed his bravery. Here, we don't really have that much video footage of what went on here, so I wouldn't say it's another JFK moment. But it seems that the government doesn't really like Trump, or that a lot of people don't really like Trump, and a lot of people are willing to take a lot of effort into trying to make Trump go away. So I think it shows how brave Trump is and how strong he is, because he's still fighting for what he believes in. And I think that's why we see so many other rappers, so many other people who constantly like try to fight for what they believe in, but they're put into things such as an unjust criminal justice system. They see Trump being unjustly prosecuted. They see him racking up all these felony charges unjustly. They see the weaponization of the justice system. They see repeated assassination attempts, people just trying to make Trump go away. And that's why a lot of them, we see them coming out and supporting Trump, which is not something that we saw back in 2016 and 2020. That's why I think that this election is going to go very, very different. Like just yesterday, we saw a prominent artist with over 40 million followers on Instagram support Trump. The week before that, we saw another prominent artist with about 40 million followers on Instagram support Trump. We see people with a lot of credibility, a lot of people who work hard and who have to face the environment of not being liked all the time. We see them supporting Trump, and I think it shows just how brave it is.
Exactly. And what do you guys think about his influence? Because obviously, whether the reactions are negative or positive, he has a great influence on people. So what do you guys think about that?
Certainly, he's going to be in the public eye, as always, but even more so now, heightened constant attention on him, and articles constantly flowing out minute by minute about what occurred at the West Palm Beach golf course. I think that he's showing his strength and resolve, as David mentioned, and is really focusing in on, this last 50 days, what he can do best to win and hone in on his message.
Right, right. What do you think, David?
I agree. I think that especially his bravery is something that is helping the Trump campaign a lot, which we see them making a lot of gains through young men as well. A lot of people see the bravery and they respect the bravery. And if someone loves the country so much that they're willing to face so many assassination attempts, to be unjustly prosecuted, then maybe we should try to give that person a shot to put him into office, because that's definitely someone that I would like in office, someone who loves this country that much.
Right, like it must be genuine, is what you're saying. If he's willing to put his life at risk, or like his life is being put at risk, and he's still going through with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And like he often says, he could just be hanging out on a beach somewhere with his billions of dollars, not worrying about what people think of him. But he donated his entire presidential salary.
Right.
He takes these bullets literally for the American people, and he keeps fighting because he knows it's what's right to do. He's not in it for himself. He's in it for the country and making it better. Otherwise, like I said, he'd just be hanging out on a beach or in Trump Tower.
Exactly, yeah. And I think like these two situations, like even thinking about it on a broader perspective than just Trump, like how people aren't reacting to it the same as if it were like, when JFK got shot, like stores like shut down, like people, kind of like mourned it. Now, like when in July 13th, when that happened, I mean, I was in DC at my internship, and like people were out and about, restaurants were still open. It's like he wasn't the president, obviously, but he's a very prominent presidential figure, let's say, and people just didn't have the same reaction to it. So I think that speaks to our society and that we're so desensitized to violence.
Absolutely. David?
I think it could also be the media. Media bias, media trying to downplay it, to try to hide it. Because when you searched up on Google assassination attempt, Trump wouldn't pop up, just a bunch of other figures, but not Trump.
Right.
And it's the media, it's the influence of Google trying to make the assassination attempts seem like they're not that bad, or trying to even hide the assassination attempts. We saw that also on social media.
Yeah, and like CNN said he like fell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and before we didn't really have that. Like,
Yeah.
of course, there was always some media bias, but it wasn't to the extent where somebody got shot, a prominent presidential candidate got shot, then it would still be covered and everybody would agree that that is something awful that has happened. But now we see people painting Trump as a dictator. We see people completely painting Trump as Hitler, and saying that the assassination attempt on Trump was actually warranted because an assassination attempt on Hitler would have been warranted, which they're clearly not the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's kind of amazing how people make those extreme like, connections with each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're so hyperbolic. But
Yeah.
I want to look at how UF and the administration might react. Do you think that they'll put out a statement or do anything to acknowledge? Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah. Not only do I think it's because they're just liberal-minded people, which a majority of their faculty administration is, I think that they're so concerned with appearing as like nonpartisan, like not wanting to get involved in political statements because they're so afraid of like any backlash that they just don't even want to make a statement about it. But like I was saying, like if this happened like even like 15 years ago, like I would not be surprised if like even a public institution made a statement about it, because it's an American cultural event. You know what I mean? But now it's like they're just gonna brush right over it. I mean, I didn't have one professor bring up 9/11.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So why would they bring this up?
Right. They're, with so much that's happened over the last 25 years or so, they're
Yeah.
kind of ignoring these major issues that have come to light in society and not focusing on like, hey, real tragedies have occurred,
Right.
and let's take a look at that and
Right.
acknowledge something horrible happened.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you
think?
feel, David?
I agree. I haven't really seen UF, like, I didn't even see them do anything when the assassination on Trump came out on July 13, where they literally shot him in the head. So I don't think that UF is going to do anything like that. And I can imagine that the same thing is going to be with all the public universities. I don't think that any of them are going to put out any statements,
Yeah.
not even condemning
Yeah.
the act.
Yeah, not even like condemning, like gun violence, in general, or shootings in general, or political violence in general. But I don't think students really react to that because I think they're either distracted with other things, which is fine, or we're just so used to political violence. I mean, we grew up in the era of always having turbulence in the Middle East and war and the aftermath of 9/11. So, and everything being over politicized and, the media really like blowing up in that way. So, that's why I think people just don't care, frankly.
Yeah, and doesn't this say a lot about the current political climate? Like, at least
It does,
few
yeah.
years ago, when I was in college, the big thing was like, oh no, I'm gonna get canceled. Like that was the big deal. But there weren't the riots yet by BLM. There weren't these other issues. There wasn't yet people calling to execute people like en
Right.
masse. But
Right.
now we're seeing like, oh, these people are cheering on the attempted assassination of
Yeah.
President Trump or his supporters. So it's very bad to see. Do you see things continuing to get worse going forward?
I think it depends on what like social spheres you're in. So I feel like if you're in the young conservative movement, yeah, they're gonna bring it up a lot more because I think people in that sphere are more like in tune with it happening, and they're gonna talk about it more and are more aware of it and gonna react to it. I think if you're in other spheres, yeah, you're just gonna continue to ignore it because some people just aren't interested in it. They're just interested in like popular culture. They're not really thinking about, societal issues, not really thinking about political, philosophical issues. So it depends.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just goes to show, look, we have a lot of people who aren't paying attention in the country. We need people to focus in, lock in.
Lock
and
in.
Yeah, exactly. Lock in and say, hey, let's make a better country for ourselves. Now, David, being a freshman and just coming into UF, what have you noticed about the UF political climate?
Well, I'm from California, so I went to a high school in California. So in the high school in California, there was obviously a lot more liberal bias. Conservatives did not have a voice at all. So what I can say about UF is at least conservatives have a voice. At least conservatives can have a club because not even in California, like conservative clubs are not welcome. My high school didn't have a conservative club, and it probably won't ever have one because it's just not welcome. Discussion isn't welcome. And what I will say about UF is that at least we can have a discussion about things, and at least we have, our own clubs, the ability to go ahead and project our voices.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can't speak for every single university, but, I think it's safe to assume that most public universities are pretty liberal, and they preach liberal ideas. Yet, like when we go out there and table for Young Americans for Freedom, like we don't really get that much backlash. Yeah, we get like people who come up and they want to like debate us, but it's like civil debate and it's like interesting, to get like another perspective. It's never this like hateful, like, I'm going to like toss your stuff. I know at University of Utah, of all places, they have had that. So yeah, so it happens, but I think I think the media has really like hyped up how divided people really are. I think if you just approach people and just start asking them questions about themselves and what they think, and then, you can like lightly share like what you think and have it like, like a snowball effect roll like that. I think most people are good and they're going to listen.
Right. I think it's time that we get back to civic discussion in this
Right.
country and have honest conversations rather than shout at each other and call each other names and threaten to dox people and harass them.
Yeah, because that gets you nowhere, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. With that, thank you everyone so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. If you'd like to reach out to us, feel free at youthbombs@alatrorepublicans.com. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.
Thank you.